The Wall Street Journal took us down a road of all sorts of intrigue last night when they published their story about 2 new Switch models coming our way as early as this summer. A Switch Pro and a Switch Mini. Not either or, Gabe, but both. And we asked you guys to give us your take, and boy, did you have a lot to say. And I think this is really interesting because it's more than a rumor to me. The fact that they have spoken with developers who already have prototype units, like, this isn't just hearsay at this point. This is much more in the realm of reality than a lot of our typical Reddit 4chan leaks.
Yeah, I don't know what we call it. Maybe just a report, I guess. Because you're right. It is more than a rumor. I 1000% believe this is happening. We are getting iterations of the Switch this year. I wasn't expecting 2 of them, but that seems like that's in the card. That's why we heard conflicting rumors, right? Because then we heard, hey, Switch Pro. After that, oh, Switch Mini. Okay, turns out we're possibly getting both in the summer. That's kind of crazy to me, but I'm ready for it.
Yeah, I'm super excited, whether they're announced in summer and released in the fall, whether they announce and then come out. I think at any point when you have new hardware, whatever it is, even if it ends up being disappointing, the hype of just waiting to see what it is and finding that out and the unveiling is super exciting. So let's get into what you guys and girls thought about all of this. Thank you so much, by the way. Keep giving us your take in the comments down below. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the video. It does help us out a lot. And we'll start with Traveling Gamer, who says, I just hope there won't be any Switch Pro exclusive games. Now, this seems to be the biggest concern, is that they will fracture the audience in terms of software. But Gabe, I don't think this is something that anyone really has to worry about.
Yeah, I don't think so either, right? If you think back to when the 3DS had an iteration and, they got like, what, 1 exclusive game? What was it, Xenoblade? Something like that?
Yeah, I think there might have been 2.
Regardless, it was such a minimal number. I don't think we have to worry much about this whatsoever. Yeah, they'll look better and play better on Pro probably, but as far as exclusive, nah. I think that this is honestly going to do the opposite. I think this is going to bring more games to Switch because I feel like every developer that Nintendo works with is going to be working on games for one platform.
There are actually a decent number of new 3DS exclusive titles that were like digital, but the big ones in terms of retail, just to be super clear here, were in fact Xenoblade Chronicles 3D and then Fire Emblem Warriors, as well as the Binding of Isaac Rebirth, which I did not know. But anyhow, yeah, I don't see them doing that. If we look at Sony and Microsoft as the role models here, there's nothing exclusive for PS4 Pro. There's nothing exclusive for Xbox One X. I don't think Nintendo has any desire to do that. A lot of the negative feedback seemed to be like, oh gosh, we just got this cycle going and it's going so well. Well, this is meant to enhance and double down upon that. This isn't meant to stop and change course at all. I think this is just them really wanting to, hey, we have a really good position. It looks a lot like a lead. Let's make sure that we keep pushing that so we don't get to fall 2020, the PS5 is all whiz-bang, the Xbox Scarlet is all amazeballs, and everyone kind of forgets about the Switch. I think it's very smart of them to not only have a mid-cycle Switch, but then another mid-cycle refresh to try and get out ahead of their competitors.
Yeah, I agree with you.
All right, let's go to Mr. Flash, who says a Switch Mini, absolutely. One that is handheld only with no TV output, $100 cheaper, and made for those who really just play on the go. Price point is going to be real interesting. And Gabe, you mentioned this when you first discussed the news. What do they do? Did they replace the $300 price point? Do they go higher? Where does this smaller, lighter Switch go in? I think it's interesting to note also that in the Wall Street Journal report, they were pretty clear on the fact that neither of these consoles will look a lot like the current Switch, or at least have some difference in form factor.
I was thinking about this last night a lot. This kept me up all night. The report dropped at 2:30 a.m. Made the video, got that up right around 3 a.m. Got in bed. I said, okay, we'll discuss this tomorrow. Zach, the thought that came to me, I said, what if all 3 versions stay? Because honestly, I expect the one that exists now to just kind of be phased out. But all right, let's do this. What if Mini is the 100% portable? You cannot play TV mode, right? Then the one that we have now is the hybrid that you can do both. And then Pro is only a console that you can only keep at home. You cannot take that one with you on the go anywhere. So I was wondering if that could be something they could do. I don't know what the price points end up being, honestly. But
I don't think that they would ever have an only at home console.
Why not? You don't think they ever do it again?
Well, I mean, Not this generation. I don't think that the Switch loses the switching. I think the hybrid nature has to stay in some capacity.
Mini is going to be handheld only, no TV, so it's losing the Switch no matter what.
I mean, we don't know that 100%.
Well, that's a report that there is a Switch, like smaller version Mini that is handheld only.
Yes, but I think the Pro then retains it. I don't think they abandon hybrid in this situation.
No, you're not abandoning it because you still have the Switch we have now.
But you just said that they would be phasing that one out.
No, I said originally. I'm saying in this one where the handheld version is only handheld and the Pro is only home console, I'd say they keep the main one. Like
I don't think that's the scenario at all. I think the Pro will be an enhanced Switch with the same hybrid capabilities, and I think the Mini probably will be handheld only. I do think that they will phase out the current Switch.
Okay, so you do think that?
I think that is the intention. My gut instinct here is that the Switch Pro would come in as maybe $349, because I think it would be a little bit of an awkward move to say it's the same price as what you've been paying for. One, because Nintendo obviously is investing more into this, and two, because then it feels like everyone that just paid full price for the Switch, why did they do that? So I feel like the Switch Pro comes in at like $349.
You don't think 400 is possible?
I think that's a lot for
depending
Nintendo.
on how much better the screen is and stuff like that, because the report says that manufacturers are being prepped to have way better screens and all of this. So
it just then becomes, okay, what's the price point for PS5? Is that a $500 console or a $400 console?
500. I mean, Xbox launched at 500.
I don't know. I feel like 400 is pretty aggressive for Nintendo. I say 349, and then I say that you drop the cheaper model. If you can get that thing handheld only, down to like 229.
Oh man, nah, do 200, man, do 200.
Then you got a $150 gap, which.
So?
I mean, I definitely think you can't go 200 and 400. That seems ludicrous for a system that plays the exact same games.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think, to me, getting to 200 obviously is the end goal, but I wonder if they save that for a future price drop. Because starting the Switch Mini at 200, you don't have a lot of wiggle room until you're going to say, okay, we're wrapping up and we're going to go down to 150.
Yeah. All right.
Let's move on. All right. Nangstagram TV says, Switch with 1 terabyte storage. My wallet is Reggie. I think that the idea of increasing the storage capability is one that everyone feels is imminent. But is there a world where the Switch Mini goes digital only?
Oh, yeah, sure, maybe. I was gonna say, I thought you were gonna say the Switch Mini is 1 terabyte. I was gonna say no to that.
Oh, no.
I think the Switch Mini maintains the SD card, slot, and that's how you're gonna, have your storage for the Mini at least. Maybe the Pro does have something, bigger than what we have now. Yeah, 1 terabyte. I think it's a big jump from 32 gigs to 1 terabyte.
Yeah, I don't think they go that high at all. I think maybe if they get that Switch Pro either to 64 or in a dream scenario 128, that would be great. I also, as much as I would love a really light, small, cheaper digital only Switch Mini, I don't think they do that either, because the Switch Mini will be targeting the 3DS audience, the handheld audience, probably the younger audience.
That's true.
And they have had so much success with cartridges with that audience, so keeping it so you can go buy Pokemon at Target, you can go get Animal Crossing at Walmart. You can wrap up, Luigi's Mansion 3 for your kid's Christmas gift. That's going to be very important. So I don't think either console loses the cartridge slot, but I definitely think both will see storage increase.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you again. I think the 1 terabyte is a little bit wishful thinking. It'd be great. I mean, I'd be interested to see how much bigger these downloads are going to be for the Pro version of the games and stuff like that. But yeah, that's a lot of other stuff that we're going to need to take into account, because right now the game downloads are not really, really big for the most part. We don't see 20-something gig downloads often, at least, especially not when Nintendo's first party. They're so good at compression over there. The stuff they do for the file sizes is astonishing. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting of does it modify or affect the game downloads, even if you don't have a Switch Pro, but it needs to have bigger files to support that? I'm curious how that'll go, or how they'll handle compression. All right, says, or Eminem maybe, my long lost Detroit brother, as long as both models are compatible with the basic dock, I'm fine with it.
Nope.
And this is something
not happening.
Well, I guess the way I look at this is, will the Pro have its own new dock?
I would think so.
I would say no.
Why?
Because I feel like they will try their best to keep continuity with a lot of this.
I don't think that, because
So
again,
do you think power is going to come from the dock?
Maybe. I mean, it depends on what they're doing with the form factor. How much bigger is the Pro going to be? Like, stuff like that. I would say, yeah, maybe. But the reason I said no, absolutely not with this, is because I don't think the Mini is going to be compatible with a dock at all. I think that's handheld only. No dock whatsoever for the Mini. So that's what I meant when I meant no at all. Like, that's not happening.
The question I still go back to with the Mini, if it is handheld only, no dock, do they allow syncing controllers for multiplayer or no? Because
not if they're treating it like a 3DS, because like
then you lose out on every multiplayer game.
No, you can still play multiplayer games on 3DS. Like, I've played God, I had the wrong game in my head. I've played Mario Kart on 3DS. I had a movie
with
theater
multiple people.
With multiple people, yes.
On the same console.
No.
Exactly.
Everybody has their Everybody has their
Yeah.
own 3DS.
I still feel like this handheld Switch will allow for controller syncing so that you can still play Mario Kart 8 Deluxe with your friends on the go.
Depends on how small that screen is, man.
I mean, yes and no. I don't feel like they're going to abandon. Okay, let me phrase it this way. I think they are going to try and maintain as many of the standards that have been established for the Switch as possible with both of these consoles. I don't think this is like a complete reworking of what the Switch is, just happens to use the same games. Because again, then a game like, I mean, we can get into the Joy-Con dilemma of a game like Super Mario Party, but so many of the things that tout local co-op or local multiplayer, it's just all erased, and so now you're a company and you have to put it in the back of the box. If you get the Switch Mini, you can't.
Versions. No, that's just
other versions.
No, other versions of the console, dude. Like,
but you'd have to make a caveat that multiplayer is not possible on this version.
I'm sure they'll figure.
So now the back of the box has to have another. I genuinely think you'll be able to sync controllers.
Yeah, I mean, sure, that's possible, but he didn't say anything about controllers. He said dock.
Yeah, I also think the dock will be the same.
Okay, I mean, we'll see. I don't think so.
I think the Switch will be different, but I think the controllers are going to stay the same, and I think the dock is going to stay the same.
They're saying the Switch is going to look dramatic, not dramatically. They just said it's going to not look what we have now. So how is it even going to fit in the dock? Like, I don't know.
I mean, the dock is connecting on one single little spot.
Yeah.
So it could be way bigger. It could be way more rectangular.
But then the width of it has to be like exactly the same, or it's not going to fit.
Oh, I don't think that thing gets thicker.
Oh, I think the cheaper one definitely gets like plasticky and thicker. Okay. All right. Regardless, let's move on.
All right. Atomic's Fang says, I hope it is just an update to the dock. I'd be more inclined to just upgrade a dock than buying a new Switch. We kind of just answered this in the last one, but
no.
I don't think the dock is going to be where they draw power from. I think it is all going to be within that Switch.
The report emphasizes screens also being changed.
You know, the dilemma over what are the specs, what are the graphics. I think it just needs to notably improve performance, and that's what kind of everyone was saying in our comment section. It was like, as long as the FPS is better around the board, then we're happy. And I agree with that. You know, obviously an increase in resolution is great, but I want those innards to be up to help with frame rate. And I also think that this impacts third parties the most because it gives, hopefully, more similarities for porting your games over and less of a downgrade. And to me, that would be one of the biggest emphases of having a Switch Pro. Jonathan Davies says, a Switch Pro would be a nice surprise, but I can't see it. It's not the Nintendo logic. They usually wait at least 5 or more years before something better. Look at the 3DS as an example. It's 10 years strong, and Switch is on fire now. Can't see it happening. Maybe Mini, and that's it. And what I wanted to pull from this is the Switch being on fire, and yet them still driving for more. And as much as the Switch is on fire from the outward facing view, the inward view seems to still be negative. If you look at that report from Wall Street Journal, they're talking about analysts saying that the Switch has peaked and it will see lower and lower sales as the years progress. So the long game that they're playing over there at Nintendo, I think even though it is on fire right now, they are being as forward protective and preventative as possible here.
If you picture the Switch as a tiki torch on the beach that's like, on fire, it's like, fire blazing. It's the brightest tiki torch you've ever seen. There is a tsunami coming at that thing with next gen. PS5's coming, Xbox One, whatever they called it, is coming. And that is going to quickly snuff out any fire that the Switch has. So they do need to do something. They absolutely cannot rest on their laurels and just allow the competition, no matter how friendly they are with Xbox now. They can't just allow them to one-up them like so much, because yes, Pro and One X are already way more powerful than the Switch. Imagine next gen happening and then Switch staying exactly how it is. Like, at that point, you have nobody except indie games and all pixelated games and Nintendo games on your platform, and they still need third party. I mean, this probably is a move to kind of make things easier for third party. We know that Doom and Wolfenstein really, really cool, but wouldn't it be awesome if they ran at 60 FPS? And I have to believe that so many more franchises would come over if they could just run at 60 FPS 1080p.
I think there are two things here. One, I think that yes, PS5, Xbox Next are going to be notably more powerful, but they want to make it a conversation. They don't want the Switch to quickly fall into the loop of going from cool gimmick to really awesome games to, oh, it is the Me Too console. And I think the closer they can get to the power of the other platforms, the better. And I also think it's learning from their mistakes, because if we look back at recent generations, and even the Wii U when it started, there was excitement over, ooh, it's got this tablet and multi-screen gaming, and that all quickly fell apart. The Wii started completely on fire, and it still was very successful for families and for grandmas and grandpas, but by the end of that cycle, it felt outdated. And the risky run of being a console that's underpowered, and then a company that chooses to go mid-cycle or precede the launches or the general generations, is that it starts hot and then it quickly falls behind. And this will allow them to get out ahead. And now, instead of, hey, we're 3 years behind where PS5 and Xbox Next are at their launch, okay, now maybe we're a year and a half. Maybe we're even less than 12 months if these things come out in the fall or early 2020. We don't have set dates yet. Summer does seem aggressive. I fully expect to see them reveal at E3. Releasing soon after, who knows? I guess getting out ahead of a fall where you have Animal Crossing and Pokemon could be a good deal, but maybe it's a staggered launch. Maybe the Mini comes out fall of 2019 and the Pro waits to launch till spring of 2020 to really say, hey, Nintendo has something new on store shelves, something exciting to the brick and mortar, something potentially exciting to the gamers, soon before the other consoles are ready to drop. Because if you wait and don't do anything, then the Switch came out in 2017, the PS5 comes out in 2020, and Nintendo has nothing new for 3.5 years, and at that point, the Switch feels like it is an older piece of hardware. Still cool, still great hybrid nature, but I think this is the smartest thing that Nintendo can do, and as long as the library stays with continuity and has no exclusives, it's not really hurting any early adopters. I did see questions and comments like that, and it comes from Pete Hrapstick here. If this is true, then people who have bought this 2 years or are recent adopters, darn, did Nintendo fanboys get screwed over?
I always struggle with this, because you still had the thing for 2 years. But
even if you didn't, that's just kind of how everything works. I mean, as long as the games stay the same, right? It's like, okay, a new graphics card comes out. What if you didn't know a new one was coming and you bought yours a couple months before? There's just, I feel like, yes, that welcome to technology. That's just something that happens. And yeah, it leaves a sour taste in people's mouths, but Nintendo can mitigate this by having a higher price point for the Pro, and by making sure the games stay consistent. Then you're not really burning anyone.
Especially if Mini performs exactly the same or whatever as the current one, right? If people are getting a dramatically better experience, you're not getting burned. It's just a different form factor. Again, for Mini specifically, Pro is different, but people went through the exact same thing with PlayStation 4 Pro and Xbox One X. Those came out mid-generation, and people that bought an Xbox One, I'm sure they felt burned by the One X or whatever if they bought it recently. But again, it's a thing that unfortunately happens with technology.
I guess, 3 SKUs on the market is where things get a little dicey, because then if you do drop the price of the original Switch, that's where it starts to be frustrating. So I think the more I look at it, I think it's imperative that Nintendo does come in with, hey, the Switch Pro is more for more. The Switch Mini is less for less. So if you bought the Switch at $300, you got a middle of the road solution that still feels like a solid value. And you're not going to be hurting because you can keep that system. And honestly, like, look, I am a PS4 Pro Day 1 adopter. I'm an Xbox One X Day 1 adopter, and I switch back and forth between my original PS4, my Pro, my original Xbox One, my X. For me, it's really not that big of a deal. It doesn't bother me that much. And, yes, if the frame rate is like every game can run at 60, that will be more notable. But I don't think you're going to feel like the Pro experience is so dramatically enhanced that you got screwed. I really don't.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be a smaller iteration, I think. Again, do I think that we go from playing like sub 1080p to like 4K everything? Of course not.
Yeah. So I think you're going to be okay. On the other hand, if Nintendo wants to do a little 3DS early adopters ambassador program and give us some SNES titles on Switch, I'm all for it. Ooh, what if that data mine was prepping for this and they're going to give SNES games to original Switch owners?
That'd be cool.
Probably not, but hey, it's an interesting thought. Thomas Peppett said, I'd say they could definitely be making both, but releasing both this summer, no way. I'd say Mini this summer to grow install base and Pro next year to compete better with next-gen consoles better and manage to get big third-party games. Thomas and I have the same mind because this is exactly how I feel it goes. What about you, Gabe?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they drop both on the same day. That makes like little to no sense, right? Especially you want to sell the Mini to people that already own this thing, right? And then if, let's say you and I, right, we go buy a Mini because it comes out in the summer, and then the Pro's coming like months later, like what is going to stop us from just not getting the Mini to owning 3 Switch versions for one person is crazy, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, well, I will be crazy, just so you know.
I'm aware. I said that in the other video.
I will have all 3 regardless because I'm just obsessed with new consoles. But yeah, I do think, though, Gabe, that the Mini and the Pro are targeting very different audiences.
Yeah, of course. The opposite audiences.
I don't think releasing them side by side because of confusion and the Mini not selling is the issue. I think that the confusion comes of all of a sudden the Switch is just phased out, and I feel like they will probably do a more gradual phase. So my crystal ball prediction is Switch Mini comes before the holiday rush, and it's timed because of Animal Crossing and Pokemon and Luigi's Mansion. And I mean, even Fire Emblem, we see them bringing 3DS franchises to Switch. And so what better timing than to say, hey, we have the new 3DS, which is the Switch, but it's handheld only, and it's what you know and love about the 3DS now with the Switch, ready for those games. And then next year, we don't know what their slate is. We've heard rumors of Breath of the Wild 2 will be next year. Metroid Prime 4 is probably a ways away, but maybe they have some big third parties lined up. Maybe they have some more
Bayonetta's coming.
Tech-heavy games that then the Pro will line up alongside and take better advantage of. I honestly don't think there's anything this year that the Pro would dramatically benefit from or would line up nicely with. So I think you save that Pro for those exact reasons, Thomas, to get closer with next-gen consoles, to get more third-party games, and then you know what? Then you can take this holiday season, because people know the Pro's coming, and that's always dangerous with your current system, and you say, okay, for the holiday season, we're dropping the Switch down to $250 to clear these out.
Would you be surprised if both hit this year?
I would. I really would, because I feel like the Pro needs a stable of games to take advantage, and unless they have something crazy saved, I don't know what game in their lineup does. I don't think Fire Emblem?
Yeah.
But that doesn't need amazing graphics. That doesn't need 60 FPS.
No,
Bayonetta 3 is a much better candidate if we're going to go based on what we know they've announced.
But we know Doom Eternal's coming, and other third-party stuff hypothetically coming. I don't know. There's stuff that could take advantage of it. I'm going to say I think you're going to be surprised. I think we do get them both this year. That's just, I don't know where. It's just based on the report saying that they're both coming. So I believe it.
It'll definitely be crazy if the Switch brings 2 new systems in 2019, and then we get 2 new systems from Microsoft and PlayStation. And in an era when Google and others are trying to say that boxes aren't the future, we get 4 boxes in a 12-month span.
Yeah, but people have been saying that boxes like are done for a while, and then Xbox One and PlayStation 4 go on to be like one of the best selling.
Oh yeah, I mean, and Xbox is by all accounts going to have 2 separate ones, maybe even a third digital only one. So it's you might be having so many boxes, you need a bigger entertainment center, Gabe. That might be how this goes for the next.
I'm working on it.
Next gen. Tommy Ross says, I will buy a Pro, but I don't think I will ever buy one smaller than the original. The screen is already too small for some games. It's hard to read text in Skyrim and Diablo. This is where we talk about screen size. I don't really want to get into screen specs or 1440, 1080, whatever. What do you think about the size of the screens?
I think getting bigger is dangerous. Like, it's already, like, he says it's small. I don't think it's small. I don't feel that way personally. For me, it's tricky because I don't play... I'm playing way more now, but I'm not like a person that takes the Switch with me everywhere. I mean, maybe I would if it were smaller, but as it is right now, like, I don't know. I have kind of a conflict with this. I don't want smaller. I know that. I don't know if bigger would even be comfortable. I kind of feel like the size they have is perfect. So, yeah, I'm at a crossroads. I don't know.
I think that the Mini does go smaller. The only way I see it not going smaller is if they're going to have detachable controllers, but it sure sounds like they're not. And so I think that you do go smaller. It's easier for kids to hold. It's more of a handheld device. It's more pocketable. Not a lot smaller, but I think you go smaller and you still allow Joy-Con to sync to it because I think you want accessory parity. I don't think you want to say like, oh, all those Joy-Con you already had, they're not going to work with the Mini. Because
yeah, no, but that's fine. You're moving on. Let's talk about the screen.
Sure. Smaller screen on Mini, same size on Pro.
Okay. No, I really hope the Pro's a little bit bigger. A little bit. About like half an inch, something like that.
I mean, the only thing bigger I would want is if, okay, we remove the bezel and the screen just stretches.
Yeah.
But I do not want a bigger form factor for the Switch.
Same. If we can get the exact same form factor, but with a beautiful, beautiful screen, like OLED or something, like that'd be awesome. But again, remove the bezels, like you said. Yeah, I'd be cool with that.
Reagan Dow wraps us up by saying, I'm so happy. I will order both day one. And that's honestly how I feel, because I just love, like I said, new consoles and Nintendo mixing it up, going with something more powerful. I mean, again, the new 3DS tried to do more power, but it really didn't. It quickly failed. So them trying to say, hey, we are going to try and drum up some extra oomph here to get more third parties, to give our games a boost, that's exciting to me. And this question, Gabe, is which one are you looking to get, or both?
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting both. I mean, I partly
have to.
I partly have to because of, what we do for work. But regardless, like you, I like new console. I want to like see what these things are like in my hand, and if we can somehow, I don't know, Nintendo, work this out, please. If we can somehow just have one account for like all our Switches, like that'd be like super useful and
super important.
Yeah, there's a lot of games that I love playing, handheld. And, I'd be way more inclined to take the smaller one with me when I travel and stuff like that. The Pro, I'll just keep docked. It'll never leave the dock. I'm ready to have both, is all I'm saying. I'm ready to have all three at the same time.
I will absolutely be buying both, but if I could only get one, it would wholeheartedly be the Pro.
Yeah, of course.
I don't think the Switch is too big. I'm totally fine taking that on planes, trains, and automobiles. So the Mini has far less appeal, unless it comes in really cool colors.
That's the thing. That's how they get you with the cheaper versions. They always add super cool colors.
Or super cool 3D Pikachu faces and all sorts of things. So yeah, your Pokemon Sword and Shield custom colored limited edition Switch Minis coming this fall seems like a thing. And both of these seem like a thing. So let us know your take in the comments down below. Any more thoughts you have or responses to our predictions for this platform, we'd love to hear. And make sure to hit that like button if you enjoyed the video and are pumped for a new Switch of either flavor. We'll keep you posted as more details drop, and as we approach E3, it's getting closer, Gabe. 2.5 months.
It is.
And we will be in LA for what seems to be a very big Nintendo show. In the meantime, though, everybody, thanks again for watching. Fantastic day. For myself and Gabe, Switch Force out.